Well, it depends, I guess, on a number of things.
Oh, hey. It's always a surprise when I hit that go live button.
No, yeah, it's a little predictable.
So I have a friend who his son produced the South Beach Tow. Do you remember that dumb show?
You're talking about Todd?
No.
South Beach what?
South Beach Towing.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I remember that being a thing for a minute.
So we talked about, or I watched an episode, you always think they're kind of real until you see it. And it was like, everybody's ninja kicking everybody and stuff. And he told me, I said, I watched the show and I was like, do people think this is real? And he goes, yeah, they do. But no reality show is real, because if you had to wait around for all this stuff to happen, you'd never had a show. So our fake we're babbling about nothing intro is really a reality show.
Well, right. Now, we all know it starts at 8:30, but you do turn it on randomly. Well, I guess not randomly, because, again, it's 8:30. But
sometimes we're talking about stuff before the show, and I wish I can get it to click on, like, on an awkward moment.
There's no awkward moments here.
It's just a collection of awkward moments.
The whole show is live, and we don't script anything. Wait for reaction from Jeff.
Fuck.
Have Derek look angry. Hey, this is our show. It's RC Babble. Sometimes we talk about RC. A lot of times we talk about nothing. And sometimes it all mixes together and becomes RC Babble. We do a magazine. I just got all the alerts that were on live. It's called, I almost forgot what our magazine is called. Velocity RC Cars. I remember it's right down here. So that's what we do. Subscribe. I saw some people subscribe today. I don't know. Let's see if I can tell you your name who just subscribed before the show. It is Scott Atkinson. Thank you.
Wow. Scott has $10.
Yeah, $9.99 for more. But subscribe. It's a magazine. It's pretty good. It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. There's a couple good episodes in that one. Issues. We do some videos on YouTube, which you could be on. We do some videos that we put on Facebook, which you could be on. And if you're on something else, it's weird because we don't stream it anywhere else. And if you're watching as a rerun, hopefully my lips match my voice, because when I'm watching it live, it doesn't. And I'm watching myself out of sync, which is strange.
What do you mean?
There's a lag.
I know what dubbing is, but I mean, you when you watch yourself, when you play it back, the dubbing isn't matched up, or right?
I don't really. It probably is more matched up than I'm watching now, because there's a lag in the live streaming back to me.
Because you're looking at Facebook, right?
No,
you're looking at the Steam thing we use.
Yes, I'm looking at the whatever it's called.
Mine's perfectly synced.
Yours is, mine isn't, but mine's.
Yeah, I'm
getting into the nuts of both. Everybody loves. I think it's because mine is hosting that I look retarded on my own screen.
Right.
It's also you have a Mac, so there's that.
Plus the magnetic field from the plate in your head.
Did Jeff just fall off because he has a? Oh, did you have any PC problems?
I don't know why you think that would be a bad thing if you turn me off. That would be amazing. And go finish my beer somewhere else. We have a show topic today. And it's a random show topic generated by Pete's Facebook post, but I'll get to that in a second. But Joe's going to be very happy. Yeah, I know. It's a full circle of dumb conversions. Yeah. I want to talk about this for a second. Where's the camera? It's over here. This is my first Savox servo. But notice this little guy. It's short. I almost thought it was a Minion. I bought the wrong one. Do you want to know why I hate this servo? I don't really hate the servo. Yeah, you don't hate the servo. I kind of hate the servo, to be honest with you. I had to buy this specifically for a kit. Tamiya, I love you, but suck it. But then you hate the Tamiya kit, not the servo. Yeah, I don't know. Why would I hate them both equally at that point, because I had to stop building it for several reasons. First of all, they don't make any diff oils anymore. The world's out, so now we're we've already been. Oh, you mean you couldn't buy diff oil? Not that you don't have it, you can't buy it as well. Yeah, that's right. I don't have any, and I can't buy it. But I had to buy two things at the hobby shop. So I bought Shorty servo with a 22-foot wire, which is funny. And I had to buy a Shorty stupid LiPo pack, which I hate. I think I hate that more, to be honest with you.
I think it's great.
Why?
Because it's short. It fits in all sorts of things. But I race two-wheel buggy where the shorty is the main battery.
I get it. If we need to pick one and make it work.
Yeah, right. But that's not going to happen because we've used this word a number of times on this talk. This is a mature industry, and they're moving things by 0.5 millimeter now to get that extra bit of performance. They're not going to have one battery in all the vehicles. It will never happen. It's a different rant than having.
We had it for 20 years. What are you talking about?
Well, then listen to what I just said. We're becoming more and more mature. So the changes we're making to chassis to increase performance are not like you figured out a whole new suspension arm system. Or now we're moving things very minutely to get that tiny little bit of extra performance. So because of that, the battery size is one of the heaviest masses. Not as much now with LiPo as nickel metal hydride, but still a heavy mass. They're not going to design around a battery. They're going to design and they're going to choose from all the different batteries to fit best in their design, I think.
Right, but I think what I know Derek's trying to say this, but I agree with this point of view, which is mine, which is don't design cars that aren't race cars to use the race car batteries.
That's fine. That's fine, and I can agree with that. But once something like a shorty has been latched onto by so many users, then it's less unreasonable to use it in a non-race car. But I can agree with both you on that point.
But no one has a shorty pack who isn't racing, and racing is the smaller category. Right. Okay. Yeah.
I
guarantee you, no one buying the team associated. What's that team associated car called? The new one?
It's a Gatekeeper. It's an Element.
Gatekeeper, yeah. No, I think very few guys buying that are also racing two-wheel drive buggy and have a shorty pack.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, but I think more than just that crawler. I think more things are starting to use shorty. Shorty's a great battery. It's an inexpensive. You get a 5,000 milliamp shorty for like
I had
$40 for a name brand one.
Like when I had a Vitara Ascender, I was like, this is a drag. I need to find a shorty battery, which I didn't do. I just put a giant battery in there and had it on top of the transmission all jank. Yeah, I need to make the thing run today.
So here's my giant rant why I hate the battery more is I get you're moving things a millimeter, but the batteries in this car is at the highest point. And if they had just designed it, because it comes with the bigger battery box that doesn't fit in the chassis, and I know it's for the other cars, but if they designed it just to fit that somehow, and it could still take a shorty to get the performance, then you would have both options. I don't have the option having normal packs and not having the shorty. So to me, it was really a kind of I don't want to say dumb, but it was an oversight, a dumb one to me, that the normal pack doesn't fit in, because odds are they're going to have it ready to run, which is going to have a bigger pack.
And again, all your points are valid. I think this chassis that we're talking about, this Tamiya chassis you're talking about specifically, is very specific in its size restraints. I don't think Tamiya uses shorties in any other vehicle. They wouldn't have to. I think that I'm assuming you're talking about that electric.
The Tamiya took the full size pack, right?
The Tamiya car does fit a full size pack, but
you see a shorty
servo. Yeah, so
that's what it wasn't the same vehicle that needed the shorty servo.
I had to buy two Avis. One was for the Tamiya that takes a short servo, but a big battery, and then.
You had this argument. You went out with a Traxxas review. Sorry, Pete. And you had the long Traxxas
batteries. Yeah, I hate that too. I think it's dumb.
So this is a thing. Compatibility has been a thing within this industry forever. Some problems will never be fixed. Servo splines don't seem to ever want to be fixed, and even receiver plug. Whether you're doing the two bevels or the Futaba leg for the keying. There's certain things that we've been doing this for decades and they haven't been fixed. But I can appreciate what you're yapping about with the battery. That's one sort of thing with LiPo. We didn't have that with Sub-Cs. Sub-Cs are all the same size. But now with LiPo, you have so many more options that they can change the shape and size of it.
I get it. It's just annoying. So you're designing a car in the future and you're listening to this podcast, one of the 44 people or /2,000 that'll watch it eventually. Make it fit the fucking big pack first, and then the small one to be better.
Yeah.
So the opposite. Thank you.
You can analogize this to sorry, go ahead, Pete.
In the Tamiya car, is the shorty servo making room for the full-size battery, or is it to do something else?
Yeah, just tight to clear something, I guess. Low CG. That even their 414X super race cars didn't really require. So I get it.
Yeah. But, how much was that servo?
$63. It's 120. Well, 9 volts. What the?
9 volts. No.
Right. Well, I asked because Adam Henderson said Savox or Suckhawks, as he put it, is way overpriced.
I like it.
Well, everyone has their brand.
I don't think that's. I don't think $60 is overpriced.
No, I was going to say Savox is actually one. It's not as cheap as like Qing Fang, like from China or something, but it is cheap compared to like a full-on Futaba that you would buy straight from Tower Hobbies.
Yeah.
I just want to see how much the servo was.
It's 125 inch ounces of torque. It's not 9 volts. I don't know what the 9 means in there. Which back in the day was a giant torque specification for most cars.
Yeah,
and now it might be the kilograms.
And 0.08.
That's fast.
So, I mean, I'll go on. I mean, for me, I don't think servos is fast. When I was a kid, I remember my servos whipping the wheels off, and now these super fast, high torque servos don't even seem to move the wheels. So, I don't know. I think these specs are just like today. I'm gonna, as the great Ernie said, I just make the horsepower higher in every new engine we put out. We don't really test it.
The greater.
Yeah.
The 9 is the torque in kilogram centimeters.
Right.
Yeah. How can you have it in slugs too?
Are you making metric jokes, Mr. USA?
I understand kilograms, but it doesn't say kg, so it's a little harder just to understand a random 9.
Yeah, right. Of course.
I assume it was volt.
Anyway, you know that you and one other country, like USA and one other country, are the only
good one
on the planet who still use the imperial system in any way.
Right? By the way, we use both.
Yeah, of course you do. You were dragged kicking and screaming because you had to.
We just said, hey, you have to learn that this is how you measure in science class, and then when you run outside, it's different.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll leave that. Yeah, you have to learn your stupid way, and then you also have to learn how the rest of the world does it. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, we accommodate you stupid people that can't.
Yeah, that's the word.
Out our system.
Yeah.
Cheers, you.
Hey, you're drinking a lot of that Mexican water lately. You must really enjoy that.
I do. Satisfying without getting you fatter.
Is it flavored?
Well, it's got no calories. Yeah,
satisfying. Oh, there's a flavor to it?
Carbonation.
Well, I don't think that's a flavor, but yeah.
You don't think water has flavor? This could be a whole topic.
Well, no, yeah, right. I understand that water has a flavor, but it's not a different flavor than the conventional flavor of water. It just has bubbles in it, I think you're saying, correct?
So it does definitely taste different than water, as all waters taste different.
Are you guys watching Ted Lasso?
Are we watching what?
Ted Lasso?
I don't even know what that is.
It relates to carbonated water. That's all. It's a good show. Look it up. We don't need to talk about it because
it's a show. Okay, yeah, right.
All right, so we're gonna get off my water habit here, like the alcoholic I am.
Hey, you wore a toque again, or a beanie?
One is last week.
As you imperial.
I'm gonna be like you. I'm just gonna wear the same green hat the rest of the
day. Yeah, and maybe everyone will keep talking about your stupid hat too, like mine. So yeah,
that's awesome. It's getting closer to winter. It makes more sense now.
Yeah, well then I'll stop wearing it.
Yeah,
I'll start wearing a bikini or something.
Yeah, good, please. That'll bump everything up.
Well, I saw that Borat movie. I know this is an RC thing, but that was pretty crazy.
So we'll talk about the Borat movie. I thought it was not as funny as the original one. Not even close.
There were some pretty brutal scenes, but I laughed.
Yeah, well, of course. But the first Borat was a series of tricks on people, and this one was like a story with 4 tricks in it.
I enjoyed it. I thought the premise was good, and he wouldn't be able to do a show of a series of tricks anymore. He's too well known at this point.
Well, he need to dress up as something else. But
you think Rudy Giuliani would recognize him, but
he didn't. That was at the end. He never set it up.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, actually, that's true.
With the girl. So. I was just tucking him in my pants in a bedroom, laying on the bed.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Hey, so Joe, I don't even know if Joe's here. Is he here?
He's not here. He makes a big entrance when he comes in. So
okay. Joe, I'm sure everyone was thinking of you because of Joe's wacky backyard track where he races gas truck, which is out of production, converted to electric, which is made currently class. And he has more than one person that races nitro old trucks converted to brushless in modern times.
Yeah, he had a weird thing going there.
Yeah. Okay. Made sense. Never. But now we have the opposite of making no sense, but it makes more sense because there's now a conversion to convert your electric truck back to gas.
Yeah.
Well, not back to gas, just to gas.
Yeah, to gas.
Right? Oh, well, they don't make a gas truck anymore. So now you'll have a gas truck again.
A T6.1 or a T6.2 or with gas.
Yeah.
Nitro.
Yeah, nitro.
So
I'm not a fan of the class, but I think this is awesome.
What class?
This class. I don't like two-wheel stadium truck nitro. I don't like. I mean, I like the. I was a fan of the GT, but I didn't like the class ever. It's a very delicate drive. We've talked about before. It's a very soft finger, and usually sitting next to that is an 8-scale buggy that I would much rather drive. So
okay, suck more with it. It's like saying I don't like two-wheel drive buggy because I can't just hammer.
I don't like two-wheel drive buggy on extreme low traction conditions. I like two-wheel buggy on like clay or on carpet when you can wheelie the thing. I like grip for the most part, and historically that particular class was a very low grip, very finesse drive. It made you a brilliant driver, it made you a very good driver, but over my years, I seem to be more interested in
I don't know where you raced, where you had no grip only with a gas truck, because that would mean whatever you were racing had no grip.
No, an 8-scale buggy will dominate a low grip track compared to a two-wheel stadium truck. So the drive is a lot more fun. Back in the day when two-wheel drive stadium truck nitro was popular, it was usually coupled with 8-scale buggy. That was the two main classes.
You forget that it originally was at 10-scale events. It was electric and
that's fine. But in the early 2000s, when I was covering races, when Tebow was on his rise and was winning a lot of truck races, when Saxton was winning a lot of truck races, they coupled that truck class was always the only other class was 8-scale buggy.
It was on the decline of the class. So yes, it hung on to nitro racing because they stopped allowing it at electric.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Whatever the reason, that's how I remember it. And if I was looking at those two vehicles, I would much rather drive the 8-scale buggy. That's my. I mean, this is my opinion, and we don't need to debate it. I'm less of a fan of low grip classes, and that's a low grip class.
Well, here's the thing, and I thought about this because I knew you were going to bring this up because you're terrible at driving, apparently.
Low grip.
The RC10 GT, all the weight is in the back of the truck. It had
whatever you're about to argue is not going to matter.
Plenty of grip. It didn't turn. That was
you had this argument before, and Scott Hughes, who was a champion in two-wheel truck, both nitro and electric, agreed as well. It is a lot more finesse of a drive. Any two-wheel is a lot more finesse of a drive,
of course,
compared to a four-wheel, of course. But that particular class made you a very good driver because you had to have absolute control of your throttle finger, and it was very beneficial, and many people loved it. I'm not one of them, and that's. I mean, you're not going to talk me into the fact that it was a high grip class. It wasn't. I mean, on some tracks, I was with Drake in Ohio when he was.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's that?
The track will be high grip. Then
no, I was just about to say that I've been to track like I at an indoor clay track when they were running nitro, the CRCRC. Drake was there wheeling his car while setting up his slipper and that. So there are some times when it's high grip. For the most part, it's not.
And Pete taught me something today, which I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to guess it's true.
If Pete said it, it's probably true.
This was the first nitro truck?
No, I didn't say that was the first. I just said it also existed.
Oh.
I remember the conversion.
After the Dudgeon racing stuff. The way I remember the Genesis was you had the RC10T. I remember the Dudgeon racing came out. Not came out. I think the guy who eventually released the Dudgeon kit, we first saw it in the magazines as just, this guy made this. And it had a chain drive and it was just really handmade. And then that went into production as the Dudgeon car, and then later the Duratrax came out, which worked with both chassis.
All right, so I want to speak to Ron here because he said Jeff's getting old. Loose tracks are old school and the best. I'm not against loose, loamy tracks. I used to race at Hemmock's track with Ron, and it was very loamy and loose and topsoilish, and there was huge amounts of grip there. Yeah, I'm talking about what's that?
You use step pins where you had giant.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, loamy tracks, old school loamy tracks don't mean low grip. It's probably more the hard pack clay type now, outdoor clay dry ones that I'm referring to. But no, I'm all for the loamed up mini pin or X pattern style track that we don't have anymore. I wouldn't have considered those low grip myself. I mean, they're not as high grip as carpet, but you could still dig in a two-wheel buggy as we did at the tracks that I raced with Ron under most circumstances.
I will say, because from watching Jeff drive, is that he can only drive one car and it has to be loose or something, and that's why he can't drive anything else. Because I like the car that pushed, and he just drove off the track basically.
I will happily admit, it was Tosolini's car. I drove it right into the wall at the end of the sweep, right in the straight. Stupid car.
Oh yeah, like, hey, you gonna let off on that? Nope.
No, it should steer. I fully admit that this is a lack of skill on my part. I can drive quite well when my car is exactly how I want it. I'm less good at driving a car when it's not. Now I don't want to toot my horn, but I'm good at setup as well, so I can set it up how I like. But yeah, I have a flaw that I can't drive a car, especially with a push. I can't drive a car that's very well that's not set up the way I want it set up. Yeah.
Jeff just goes out. He doesn't try to warm up. He's just like, I'm going to drive it like it's just a slot car and it turns on a dime.
That's right. And then if it doesn't, I'll pull it off the track and I'll make it do what I want it to do. But I'm not going to train myself to. And again, I fully admit that this is not a highly skilled driver who describes themselves this way. But I will pull the car off and fix it to my liking rather than trying to adjust my driving.
In the mid and late 90s, I was racing exclusively indoors, so there wasn't gas anything where I was. Derek, up at Madness or wherever you were racing, and Jeff, where you were, did the nitro trucks bring along 8-scale buggies, or was 8-scale nitro already happening?
No. So for me, this was at Madness. Gas truck. My first gas truck was actually the Losi. Gas truck wasn't really around in the Northeast. And I got the first Losi. I had an OS engine, and I started with an airplane bumper. You know, those stupid.
Yep.
Doesn't have a handheld. Bump box. I had to go underneath it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was how I started it. And when we raced nitro truck, I think I was the only nitro truck racing at first with electric mod. And then they had some yahoos in the 8-scale class, like how 8-scale started. It was a bunch of old people that couldn't drive because they can usually afford that, and I couldn't. And I beat them with my gas truck. That's how great the 8-scale. So that's what I'm saying. A gas truck started with electric, and then 8-scale eventually took over and became more popular, and kind of gas truck dragged along after gas truck was the king of for a while.
Yeah, I remember I didn't run gas truck at all myself, but I just remember the big races like the World Challenge and the Mugen race and some of the other big races in the early and mid 90s, all the way up to the early 2000s when they were joined together. I don't remember how it happened at the club scene. I'll just agree with Derek that they were with electric and then morphed into following the nitro guys, the 8-scale buggy guys, I suppose.
And then
you got no audio, Pete.
I will also Pete, hold on.
If you can hear us, Pete, we can't hear you. No.
I think he muted himself.
There you go.
Ah.
You muted yourself.
Now I'm on top.
Whoa.
Well, yeah.
Hey, so I'll tell my second. I don't know if I probably told the story again. But if Jeff, shut up if you heard it before.
I've heard all your stories before.
I know. So back when Team Associated released their RC10 GT2, is that what it was called? That's a great story.
Way late in the game, yeah.
Yeah. So this was a time that I had started a beer magazine, and we had just finished our first edition of that, and we worked 24 hours, and I got home at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had a meeting to meet with the engineer at Team Associated to discuss the new car that they just released maybe a year after gas truck ended. So we drive down there, and I set up a camera, and it's a bunch of the old people that used to work at Team Associated, and we're going through, and I just thought it was odd that they released it, and I just asked the question, as you know, someone that was curious to someone that would design a truck, what does it feel like to have this truck that you worked on so long, and then it comes out and the class disappears? Because it really vanished. It was gone.
You didn't like that question.
They didn't say anything there, but they did try to pull all the advertising out of the magazine and told everybody I was an asshole, which I would agree that I
history of stories like this.
It was on video, and what the events that they said happened was like that was the first question I let out with of why would you release this truck when the truck is dead? And I was like, well, I didn't say that, and they were swearing up and down this is how the thing went. I said, well, I have that all on video. I actually videotaped the interview. Can we come watch it together? And if I was out of line, then I'll admit it. And they were like, no. But I really offended them, and they told me that an engineer doesn't know how to answer those questions. And then my reply was, well, why would you have the engineer talk to the media if they don't know how to talk? But that was a great story. All the times that I almost lost all the advertising.
Yeah, there's a few stories like that.
Yeah.
Which is back to what I said. I'm not going to kick a dead horse, but again, this is a rare industry where your advertisers are also your content, and it creates all sorts of problems for us. as media.
When you did shootouts, would you have the factory mechanics or the factory drivers come out and like set up the car? Like if you're going to do a Lowe's versus Associated shootout, would you have the pros come out and set the cars up?
So yes and no. That was always my intent, and then they never wanted to put any effort into that happening. So occasionally it did work. I think the one time that it really worked, we had a short course shootout when everybody showed up, and then I believe HPI left early and didn't help, and then was mad that their car didn't fare as well when they had everybody other pros. But
I mean, probably why they went out of business.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you were asking me if I owned a company, would I let Moron 1, 2, or 3 be in charge of exactly how the car is supposed to be or had any issues? Because my answer would be I would babysit them just like the full-scale cars. Say, here, come to this event, and if you have questions or problems, I can answer them. Or, hey, I need more steering in the car, and they go like this, instead of you trying to figure out how to tune and modify every car on Earth. So, but welcome to RC Media.
Right.
Which is now why we do a Babble show.
Yeah. This replaces all the fine work we used to do.
Yeah. We're trying to be fair and realistic. But that's, a few companies eventually did do press days, and Mugen had one where they set up 4 cars and then invited everybody out or whatever, and that was our car, and we ran it. That was way better. Yeah, much more enjoyable, less problems. Because when you're doing media and deadlines and you got to get shit done, like I said this to everybody. Why would you trust any of the morons in a magazine how your car is going to handle if they had to build it, tune it, get it right?
I would, because an editor is supposed to be skilled at that kind of stuff. I mean,
my thing, because I had a guy who was like,
then you hired the wrong editor.
I had a guy who thought like, and this is an experienced racer, like, oh, you have to like have the pros, let the guys come out to do the set. I'm like, no, because customers don't get to have the pros.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Like you and the 2 guys you're with, you all know what you're doing. I'm not asking you to do the whole thing in 20 minutes. You had like plenty of time to do this shootout, and how well the cars go together, and how easy they are to tune, and how they seem to be tuned if you just build it according to the box is a factor. Like it's like, yeah, this car seems to be set up for clay tracks as opposed to salt, whatever. That's interesting, And and
if the vehicle if you aren't able to make, going back to Derek's example, if you aren't able to make a few quick adjustments and get the steering you required, that also is a strike against the design as well. You shouldn't need a pro, especially again if you have skilled editors who are supposed to be above average knowledge of the content. That would be.
And I also totally get. We went to OCRC and we had Pro Driver X and Pro Driver Y from each respective company help us out with the setups. That's also great. You can do it either way, but you definitely don't have to say like, well, man, if you do a shootout for race cars and you don't have a factory guy there to do the setup, then it doesn't count. No, it counts because customers don't get the factory guy.
Yeah.
As long as you have people who know what they're doing. You can't have Joe Noob do the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right.
I'll go back to Jeff's editor is supposed to be the best driver on Earth. I don't know.
I never said that. I didn't say that.
Well,
but an editor should know how to put more steering in a car. If you're the editor in charge of running a shootout, which as we know is a huge undertaking, people can't even begin to appreciate how difficult a shootout is. Whatever editor's in charge of that shootout should have the skill set to get 5 vehicles working how they want in a relatively short period of time. So they have to have a strong understanding of suspension. They have to be able to drive well. I mean, that's how you get good results out of the shootout. So everything. I'm not against. I agree with everything Pete said. It would be nice if they were there, but not necessary. And Traxxas is number 1. Yeah.
Hey, which I was thinking about this because no one really sells a gas truck, but we could revive gas truck and just raise nitro slash.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either.
You don't want to. I don't understand.
I want to give you an 8-scale buggy. That nitro's not broken to me. I'm happy with the existing nitro classes.
Let's say nitro truck 10 scale, not truggy, never went away. Do you think it ever would have gone 4-wheel drive? I mean, Associated did the Inferno 10 at least 2 different times, I think. No one else ever really tried to do one. It seems like 4-wheel drive would have made nitro.
I don't think so. I think it would be redundant, and I think it would be a less well-performing version of an 8-scale buggy, and then why do it? You bring the difficulty and the cost up to almost as much as an 8-scale buggy.
It's not as difficult as you make it out. I don't understand your difficulty.
No, I'm saying I'm not talking about the difficulty of driving. We can agree to disagree on, because there are a number of variables. My impression of it is it's a relatively low grip class, but I'll concede to your point that sometimes it's not. But what I said is, if you were to switch it from 2-wheel to 4-wheel, you're increasing the difficulty of just running. Like, there's more maintenance, difficult setup. If you're going to do that, you might as well just run the existing 4-wheel drive class, which is 8-scale buggy.
Right, because some tracks don't have room for 8-scale.
Okay, then that's fine. Then that's a different conversation. Then at that point, you'd race 4-wheel electric. You still don't need to create a new class or adjust that particular one, in my opinion. And this is the point that you made in a past show, Pete. Once you make a 10-scale 4-wheel drive, or maybe it was Drake that made the point, I forget. A 10-scale 4-wheel drive is almost the same cost as an 8-scale 4-wheel drive. It was Drake that made the point.
Doesn't
he molds a suspension arm that's 10 millimeters longer. There's no cost.
But again, if the track simply doesn't accommodate 8-scale buggies, and people
I agree with that. Yeah, that's fine.
In nitro, then that'd be an option. The main thing though is that if the market wanted it, the market being racers, it would have happened. I mean, the Kyoto Inferno 10, even though it wasn't a race car, but still, racers, if they want to race something, they'll race it. They won't care if it's not a pure thoroughbred race car, because certainly the Slash wasn't, and people, got into racing those.
Well, but that's why racers don't dictate classes. It's people that show up at the track. I mean, the short courses became popular not because the Slash was a great race car and racers was like, I want to race this. It's because everybody started racing it, and then the manufacturer's like, oh, I need to make my car better than the Slash because that's what everybody's racing. So, for me, if you like nitro,
Slash racing guys who never raced before showing up with their first car, which happened to be a Slash, or was it racers saying these things are kind of a riot, let's race them? Like I'm asking, I don't know.
At OCRC, so when I saw a bunch of Slashes racing somewhere, there was some video, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, this looks awesome. I think it started to be a small class, and then we got everybody at work, and we went down with 4 people, and the class went from whatever they're racing 4 to 8 to 12 to 30 to 40 people. It wasn't a bunch of kids, but it definitely was people that probably never had a car before that started to do it because it was cheap, ready to run, and didn't break.
It's never a bunch of kids, but I'm wondering if in those earliest days of Slash racing, if you had 50 guys racing, I wonder how many of those guys were racers who were like, man, this thing ready to run is what I spend on a good power system. This is chump change to me. I'm going to go ahead and grab one to race this fun class, versus guys who saw them going and said, I'm going to jump into racing with one of those because that looks fun, versus guys who like, this is my first RC car and I didn't realize I could race it. I'm going to race it. I'm really curious how that would have worked out.
It would be all of them. It would be all three.
For me,
I'm just curious what the numbers would be in each category.
32%, 21%, and the leftover.
I didn't race because we do this for a living, and race, you do RC all week and then you have to spend 3 days at a track. I stopped going to races a lot, but Slash got me back into it because basically on a Wednesday night, I left work at 3, got to the track at 4, practiced for an hour, drank beers for 3 hours. The race was over by 10:30 and I went home. And I never touched the car. So in the beginning of it, the beauty of this also is that unlike Jeff, who hates low grip was the greatest equalizer because it didn't matter what power you had because you could never put it down. And if you were gentle on the throttle and knew how to drive somewhat, you got around the track without a problem. Because I remember when I first raced, Slashes were a bunch of hackers, yet I was practicing passing 2-wheel drive buggies with a stock Slash. And as I came up to pass them, they'd go, hey, watch out. And I'd be like, yeah, that's the Slash passing you, idiot. So maybe you shouldn't hit me with your dumb buggy. So and then people watched how much fun we had. Me and McMahon were on the track, taking each other out with, tactical takeout, not just T-boning, like, bump out and jumping over people and doing all the stuff. And we came off laughing our asses off. And
it was a great class for all those reasons.
Everybody else came off miserable and throwing their controller across because they didn't get the 10th of a second and stuff like that. So I would go back to racing Slash tomorrow, to be honest with you, if there was enough people. And I have one in the box behind me that I still haven't opened. Pete, thank you.
I would love to race anything as long as I didn't have to work on it during the week. And I could, the entire race day could be 4 hours or less.
Yeah, sure.
Not saying I wouldn't work on it during the week, but it can't be like, okay, batteries, all my stuff, and
I think many classes are nearing that type of. I mean, I was pretty serious when I was doing the carpet off-road, 2-wheel carpet off-road, and I did very little work on my car. I would do a diff rebuild every.
I never
2 months.
I'm the laziest driver on earth. Jeff would rather work on his cars, and I'd rather just change my driving style because I don't want to work on it. So.
Yeah, and that's fine, and that's why I'm faster than you.
I watched you drive a nitro car. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have made it around the track. So,
are you still talking about Tossolini's car?
Yeah, well, yeah, a world champion's car that you couldn't drive. Yeah, exactly.
I can't drive his car. I don't like his car. He doesn't know how to set up his car. I should have a talk with him.
Yeah. So gas truck. I still actually going to I have the short course one that I want to actually bring back to life, put a real motor in it, and bring it back to the track. Because
are you talking about the nitro?
The associated one was the last
Yeah, I remember where you broke it in on the beer cans.
Yeah,
I remember.
Which associated car?
The SC10 or
it's just a stretch GT
with the GT with the short course body. I don't even think they had to stretch it. I think they just slapped the wheels and tires on it.
No, they would have to stretch it, I would imagine.
I think it fit right on. It was a drop on. That's why it was so dumb that's what gas truck did turn into.
Yeah. Short course is fun. The fact that where the wheels are covered, so you can rub a little bit, like you said, the tactical hacking with Chuck with McMahon.
You know what you're doing. I mean, you just blow someone. I mean, you definitely did that.
Yeah. No. I did slash with all the boys. Now I'll say this: we did carpet off road slash at a track where we were racing 2-wheel buggy, and it was extremely difficult. It was easy to go from 2-wheel buggy to slash, but after you ran a heat of slash and then you grabbed your 2-wheel buggy, it was a freaking land missile, and it was actually very twitchy and difficult to get back into the rhythm because they're so like going from a 4-wheel buggy to a 2-wheel buggy. They're both land missiles, so it's easy enough. But going to the very slow, sluggish drive of a slash and then getting back into your rocket ship was difficult. But if anything, that would just make you a better driver and more adaptable anyway. So, but I found that difficult.
I had somewhere else to go with this gas truck. Oh, and here's the thing: you keep talking out where it's not a class that somebody just wants to race A scale. There's a lot of benefits to the smaller class. It's quieter because I don't know if you've ever been at a track now that they have like 30 cars in a main.
Yeah, I have.
It's annoyingly loud. There used to be decibel limits on pipes to be legal, and I actually think a big movement should have been to make the cars a lot quieter instead of just ear bleeding.
They did. They used electrons instead. They solved that problem.
Yeah, go run an electric race for an hour and see what happens. It's probably nothing good.
Right.
But there's a joy, and this is what you say all the time, where we get an argument about half the joy of tuning the engine that you talk about.
I think so. I'm not saying half the joy.
I want the smaller, quieter.
I'm not against 2-wheel truck. I don't.
Pretty anti.
I'm talking about me personally. I'm not against the class.
In Canada, did you race on the snow? Maybe that's why all your tracks had no grip.
No, I'm remembering back now. There's, like I'm thinking of, the new Detroit track. It's long gone now, but when they moved the Clifton Hill, not Clifton Hill, whatever, the big Detroit race, the Kyosho World Challenge they did, where they had the 91 Worlds track, and then they moved it over to the hill where it was all hard packed clay. Like that drive was terrible for a 2-wheel gas truck. It was hard packed, cracked clay. We're a little mushy. It looked terrible.
The advance in like engines being less on-off switch, where they realized you didn't have to have the highest horsepower, and that's why you just needed a smoother throttle curve.
Yeah, especially in
all the tuning and tire technology, they were really easy to drive. That's why, of course, you can go full throttle, rip a wheelie down the straightaway, and not steer, but they didn't spin out; they pushed for the most part.
I didn't even refer to spinning out. The delicate drive you do with a stadium truck is not anything remotely fun and as close to like an A scale where you're like pizza cuttering the front wheels everywhere and power sliding. Like it's just, again, this is my opinion, but it's a lot more fun of a drive. I'm not saying I wouldn't be able to get a nitro stadium truck around the track and it wouldn't be fun. I just think when it's sitting next to something you could be balls out driving like a maniac. I personally think the 4-wheel drive 8-scale buggy is so much more fun. I wouldn't be interested in this, but I'm not poo-pooing the class. Many people like it. It used to be a huge class. It's fine.
I think that's the original one. I couldn't remember if it was a gold tub on the original. It's gold, right?
No, I think it was black or blue. I think.
No, the blue was the ready to run.
Yeah, I don't know that they ever did a gold on the GT, but I could be wrong. Someone in the black black was the original. That's what I thought. Yeah.
What's funny is that you would think all this information is online, but it's really hard to find some of the old pictures and stuff. Like this guy.
Well, there's large vintage communities would be.
I know, but so this guy's website, he didn't add the watermark on this one. Claimed this was his copyright of him, but this is fucking associated. Like you're gonna claim a copyright of it?
I downloaded this off the internet. It's mine now.
Yeah, please don't take it off my website that I took it off of. If I ever tell the story, this is a different one. But I did a beer magazine, and one of the first issues, we borrowed somebody's pictures from some home brewer who grew hops on his house, and we used the pictures. And then somebody in Japan emailed them that he recognized his house, and then the guy threatened a lawsuit, and then wanted like $1,000 per picture. And he eventually became a friend of mine and wrote from it. But I thought it was awesome that his friend in Japan recognized his house, and that's in a print magazine, and that's how he said those are my pictures.
Mr. Clean sent us a cease and desist one time as well. Yeah. A much richer corporation with a lot less threats of money. They just said, stop doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's when they were relaunching Mr. Clean, but it was cool that they somehow found it in our obscure little magazine.
Thanks for being a reader.
I would think it would have been covered by parody.
On what? On Mr. Clean?
I think it was a picture of Mr. Clean and cleaning your car, and it was just him. I don't know. Like I said, it was at the time of they relaunching that whole brand, and it was a cease and desist of a magazine that was 6 months old. So we're like,
we'll start. It's easier just to stop. But typically, if you're using it as a goof like that, like, oh, it's a parody of Mr. Clean, but then you could fight if you wanted to. But
but this all we don't need to get into this conversation. But that just comes to that. Then if you have to pay your lawyers $400 an hour to say that it's a parody, then
I'm just quit. I mean, I've had guys. I used what I thought was a pretty generic photo for a newsletter. Roll the dice,
Sure.
And you get
the repercussions are not huge.
I'm like, okay, here's the thing. No one has any money, but I am happy to promote you as a photographer and say, hey, we goofed and forgot to give credit to Jim, action photos and
buy some of his pictures.
Okay. Because they don't have money to fight you to get the money. So
that's right. Yeah, a contract is only as firm as the amount of money you're willing to put into enforcing it.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Mr. Clean is that we had a printer retraction, so we actually put Mr. Clean does not endorse.
That's right. Mr. Clean didn't say we didn't need to put Mr. Clean in.
Yeah, use them again. It's great. My favorite.
Well, I have a story about. Well, I don't even know if I should tell it, but maybe I just won't use names. One of the famous mold makers, who's a good buddy of mine, who had made a Ferrari body at one time, and I was having a beer with him many years ago, and it was like, how did you get Ferrari licensing? And his answer was that whole, I didn't, the whole, it's easy to ask for forgiveness later than permission now kind of a thing. So Ferrari. I think that runs rampant in every industry, but in this one as well.
You just got to be careful the ones that really, Ferrari is probably not one I would screw with, but.
Right. Right. And I've been warned by BK back in the day that I had a Fox logo in one of my posters I had, and he's like, those guys sue, like don't mess with it. So I can appreciate that certain companies are more aggressive than others. Ferrari, I would imagine, is extremely aggressive. I know their licensing is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, they're crazy.
To me, is the only guys that seem to legitimately do it, right? So there's a reason. They must be very difficult to work with.
I think Kyosho had a Ferrari car too.
Yeah, you might be right, but I think you're talking in the 80s where maybe licensing wasn't as cuckoo as it is today. I don't know.
No, I think that's now. Yeah. But yeah, anyone with a Ferrari license that's not a Chinese company, a patently Chinese company is getting a license because Ferrari is very tough. But yeah, there was that time for a while in RC where, the oval body would be, it's a Type M for Monte Carlo, which is what it looks like.
Yeah, right. Well, HPI did that for a while. I don't know if you guys remember the story. I might screw it up, but HPI was paying something like 25 cents a body for licensing. And then the auto manufacturers approached them and changed the deal where, so apparently HPI was even only paying 25 cents on a kit that included a licensed body, but then they wanted a percentage of the kit price.
Kit price, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a few years where HPI did exactly what you said. They had the Mustang, but it wasn't a Mustang, and there was no horse on it, and it looked like one, but it wasn't called one. And I guess that was during that time. They're like, no, we're not going to pay you $4 or whatever they wanted, because all of us know as well, $4 at a manufacturer level turns into $40 at the retail level or something along those lines. So even 25 cents, what doesn't sound like a big deal, is. But there was a big battle over that, where they did the trick that Pete mentioned.
So
remember the old Autographics GM?
Yeah, the old Autographics had all the just take the first letter off and move it on the decal.
Well, they had the blue square for GM, and then they had the white G and the white M.
Yeah.
elsewhere that you could put onto the blue square.
I think they eventually got sued enough to get that they didn't make those anymore.
Did they get sued?
Yeah.
Did they? Yeah. Well, I mean, I would, right. Sure. I mean, it's not that the auto manufacturers don't have money.
I mean, that was the coolest thing of racing oval back then, is that you had exact replicas of the real cars.
The NASCAR cluster and all the, yeah. You must have had some licensing on that.
Hey, to discuss the sort of the topic that's not on here, but of why did gas truck die?
Not enough grip.
It's racing on ice with with marble tires.
I think it just died because there were other things to spend your money on. You had the ascendancy of brushless and lipo. And you had
nitro.
8-scale buggies getting cheaper and cheaper and more ubiquitous. So I think gas truck was like, well, I can go faster with electric, or I'm sticking with nitro, but here's a much more compelling and interesting and capable vehicle. It's a no-brainer.
I wouldn't say 8-scale buggies got cheaper. If anything, it's gotten more money. But nitro was dying.
There was a time where if you wanted an 8-scale buggy, you were getting a Kyosho or a Pirate, or they were pretty high-end cars. Then there was a whole explosion of much lower cost, ready to runs, and it was much easier to get an 8-scale buggy. I'm not saying a full-on race one, but it was no longer this is only for the super experienced guys. Like 8-scale is like the F1. It's crazy. No, anyone could get into 8-scale, buggies.
But they're still $800 kits and $600 pipe and engine combos and $300 in servos. And so, I mean, but yeah, I see your point where you're talking for a time.
See, and
when the D8 won the Worlds, that would be one of those times you're discussing, I suppose.
Right. And George brings up the point, and not, oh my God.
But, oh my God, yeah, he's a good point, George. Think of that.
Good point. Oh my God. The death of a gas truck was almost like you woke up one day and nobody raced gas truck. That's how I felt. That's what I'm saying. When the GT2 came out, it was like, hey, this class ended a year ago. And I'm sure that, obviously everybody switched to 8-scale because it was somewhat more cost effective, that you never broke the thing for the most part.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, you're less likely to buy it. I mean,
yeah, well, except you're breaking $150 steering servos rather than suspension arms. But yeah, okay. Listen, it's an expensive class. 8-scale buggy is an expensive class still, as of now.
I think it would have been, and I think it could come back. It just needs onboard starting has to be standard, and a glow plug system that keeps the plug lid idle, and it would take a lot away. People say,
no, it will ever happen.
Well, you drive a gas real car. Why don't you have an electric one?
What are you saying?
Huh?
I don't know what just happened. I would like a real electric car.
I think we're in the Matrix. Huh?
First of all, gas truck is not coming back, and if it does, they're not going to put a starter system in it and a glow igniter. Well, they're not going to add the mass. They're not going to take a Traxxas style gearbox and 380 motor and bolt it to your race car and have a crank pin extension on the back to have some, which also has another bearing to rotate. That's not going to happen. We can stick to the conversation of whether or not the class is going to come back, not to what they're not going to add to it if it doesn't or does. I don't think those are things that anyone cares about.
What if we raced hybrids?
I think the hobby might be able to skip that step.
Stopgap
that auto industry had to go through.
Yeah. Joe here. Sorry. Hey, there's Joe.
Was Joe here? Oh yeah.
Finally.
See, I told you he comes in like with a naked cartwheel every time.
Yeah, he's in the same time zone, but he can't figure it out. But
I want to see the 100% nitro class. That's where you're not allowed to have a battery in anything. Your radio, nitro powered. Starter box, nitro powered. Car, nitro powered.
How do you start your starter box?
It's going to pull start on it.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. Yeah. I like it. Okay.
Yeah. And your transmitter, no double A's. You got an engine on there, like an 049 that spins a magneto. There's your power.
I love it. Yeah. I mentioned this before, but did everyone go and Google that 049 nitro powered Dremel? It was fun.
I remember something at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
There's also a Conley V8 power. I think it's a V10. It's a lighter engine, pencil sharpener, and there's all that stuff.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, yeah. I've seen the Conley V8, but I haven't seen it powering a pencil sharpener.
Oh, I saw the pencil sharpener. Oh,
what is George asking
for a mini?
He's making fun of you.
I know. Stupid. I hate him.
Nitro Mini. That's a great class.
There was that for a while too.
Yeah, that was stupid. I like Mini and I like Nitro, but those X-ray cars
so bad when it was 12 scale, like the Nitro Mini RS4. But when you had like the X-ray 18 scale,
yeah, that was stupid.
Nitro, like, come on.
Yeah, and they were like full price too. Like it still was $800 to get one going. It's not like I'll give Derek's argument. It's a quarter of the size. It's not a quarter of the price.
No, it's stupid. It's not my argument. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, you said it, so I'm sure other people have that argument, but
I'll take credit for the quote.
Have you ever gotten a look at like the huge toy cars you can get in RC? They're like 5th scale, but if you ever look at one, it's like, you know, the part that makes the car go is this little block in the middle, and then the rest of the car is just a big hollow shell, and it's got like a 540 Mabuchi motor in it.
Was that the those ride-on ones, like the children's ride-on ones, or
you can get really big toy cars at Walmart, but they're just
like the Bronco body that's out is that everybody's buying, right? I don't know.
That I think is a motor on axle thing, but yeah, that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, Power Wheels, those have like 2 540 motors in them, one on each wheel. That's the whole power system with a 12-volt car battery. You put enough gears in these things, they've got plenty of torque. I mean, it's all about those gear ratios.
Yeah, there's videos of YouTube where they throw like brushless motors in and wheel.
Oh yeah, you know the track.
Yeah, Ben did that for his when those electric scooters came out. He put a brushless system on his scooter and then caught it on fire. So that was he's drunk in the garage soldering things together in a bad way.
RC Master asked a good question. Probably very little. How often do the three of us play?
I play in sandbox.
We'll play RCs, yeah. Probably not as much as we should.
Yeah,
but it's the old mechanic doesn't want to go home and change his oil. You already referenced it, Derek, earlier. I mean, but we'd probably be happier if we actually went out and played.
Yeah, I mean, always for me, my RC fun zone was, I don't want to say like I didn't like driving the cars, but like I really enjoy building the car and painting the car and painting the little guy and getting the wiring just right. All that stuff's great. After the first run, once it's all dirty and stuff, then I'm like kind of like, okay, next car. You know,
this one's dirty. I need a new one.
And a lot of it, I mean, with the pandemic going on still, I mean, RC alone is not that much of a blast. I mean, it's still like, okay, the car's together. I'm going to go see how well this new setup works. And you go outside and you run up down the street a few times and you do that stuff. But for real, like I'm going to go out and do RC for a few hours. I really need to have a buddy to do that with.
You know, I had a buddy of mine. Now it also took a little bit away.
We have no friends right now, so that's why we don't run anything.
Well, right. There's another thing. I did an article of this, but my buddy came over and we just built a crawler course in my backyard, and we started drinking beer and shooting video and playing with the crawlers in my tiny backyard. And then we even started using the beer bottles as like obstacles. We had a beer bottle pit that you had to get through, which was super fun. And I'll tell you, man, that was a super ridiculously fun day. Me and my guy had we had an awesome. We were hammered as well, but and it did take away a bit because I actually had to do a production and write an article while take pictures while doing it. But that didn't take away as much as it usually does, and it was super fun. So yeah, the fun end of this hobby is still ridiculously fun, right?
Yeah. Well, where I am, the North Texas scale crawlers should be getting their scene back together, and that's crawling is the kind of thing where you can easily social distance. I mean, it's not like up in a driver's stand. So hopefully I'll get out and do some of that. I still have that Red Cat Wendigo to build. It's still in the box. I'm ashamed of that, but I'm ashamed that I haven't built it. I'm not ashamed of the car. I want to get that together and do some of that stuff and get some RC going. But no, I don't drive RC nearly as much as I would like to, or probably should. I keep tabs on it. I see what's new in the hobby every day, and I've got a full workbench set up over here, and I do the social media and tinkering and wrenching on cars for velocity articles and other things. But actual wheel time, no way near as much as I should have or would like to.
Yeah. Derek's not even going to talk about how much he plays.
You gotta have friends that do. I mean, Joe has a whole track in his backyard, and he has races that I don't even go to. But I have a different job. I work all the weekends, and my days off are not when people are on. So
yeah. And the other thing is, even if you have time, you're kind of an a-hole if you're like, I devote 12 hours every week to myself and only me, even though I have a wife and a kid, and it
makes it easier if they are involved as well. My 6-year-old is not latched onto the RC hobby yet. I think hopefully he does. He may not, but if he does, I would imagine I'll be driving a lot more because they'll be.
Has he ever seen you actually do anything in RC? Because
and I got him a car too young, probably, and that probably did.
It's not like you do. It's not like you were doing. Has he made stickers and sent those in the mail? Is anybody keeping track?
Let's wait until we were going to segue into that one.
Sticker gate.
Does he love you, or is he like, oh, this guy?
You say it again?
Does he love you, or is he like, oh, this guy?
You talking about Derek right now? Or?
No, your son.
Yeah, he loves me quite a lot. Yeah. No, but this is listen. I don't know if I said this on the show before. My dad is a big golfer, and I'm sure. Well, I know for sure he really wanted me to latch on to golfing, which I never did. And I feel like I'm now in that position where I do RC for a living, and this house is filled with RC everywhere. Anything he could ever want is available to him, and he has no interest. So it's probably payback for me not golfing with my dad.
Right. And your dad,
by the way, golfing is
your last name, right?
Too, so
hang on, you're both talking what?
Your dad has your last name, right?
Yes, my dad has my last name.
What's
that's a valid question. Yeah, right.
What's his first name?
Reeve.
I knew it. I know your dad.
You don't know my dad.
I didn't know he was your dad, but I talk to your dad all the time. We're both in the Disappointed Fathers Facebook group.
Well, I believe that. Yeah.
Boy,
I do play with toy cars for a living. He probably is.
That's a bitter, disappointed man, though. Let me tell you.
Yeah, more the golf thing, I think.
Hey, by the way, Jeff, all you do is
broad range of disappointment. Yeah,
no, that's right. Yeah, it's right.
Golf's pretty fun. You just drive a car around and drink beer. So I don't know.
No, and I do. I go golfing with my dad once a year. I'm terrible. I
Yeah.
shoot like 140, and I think I'm cheating even when I write that score down.
Why would you keep sure?
Well, yeah, exactly. You're right. Because I shoot 10 every hole.
Do you get the ball in the clown's nose at the end?
Yeah. Well, I'd do a lot better if it was mini putt. But the point is, I mean, golf is fun, and you do drink, and you get to drive a golf cart around, and it is a fun day. But this is just a testament to what I'm saying about my kid. It doesn't matter how good it is if he never.
He might like RC cars, just like you.
Sorry, what are you saying?
Give him some beer. Maybe he'll start driving RC cars too.
My 6-year-old, that's fine. If it gets him into RC, I'll
legal in Canada.
Yeah, 6-year-old drinking is legal. Yeah, we have different laws here. It's the metric system.
Yeah, exactly. Your age divided by 2 + 7. There you go.
No, I have whatever.
Yeah, or
I have a different formula.
Yeah.
Not just He-Man, Master. I finally found Beastman. So.
Oh, good. Did you find that one that you texted me that you were looking for? What was that again?
Mr. T is not in the States yet.
Oh, that's right. They released in Canada, and that's what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
The action figure knowledge nerdsness is huge here. Hey, we spilled a whole show talking about gas truck. Well, it was a little bit off, but Jeff was like, "Oh, the hell are we going to talk about gas truck?"
Yeah, it's a stupid topic to plan to talk for an hour.
With that one, because that's all our topics are stupid, to be quite honest with everybody. We're gonna
the first 3 shows were good. Then it was dull downhill.
I won't even give you 3. No. But we do have a magazine that at least 3 of those are good. You have to buy them all to figure out. It's just like
those are good. The magazine's good.
Club, 51 ugly or women or 3 ugly ones. You ever see that sign in strip clubs?
Is the latest one almost done?
Yes.
You need some help? What's left?
I can help too.
Probably isn't laid out, but we're working on it. Once that one's done, we're going to be faster. I'm going to kick Pete for taking all these kits and not building them and doing it like you're going to send me the Hoth so I can.
Pete gets yelled at now instead of me. I like that.
I need someone local in Riverside to either film or drive a car for me. So Joe works. He's usually my guy, but he's back to work at school. I don't know doing what, but kids aren't in school. I don't know why he's there. He's cleaning up after teachers or something.
Am I sending you the Hoss? You can have it.
Well, no, you were supposed to do the review.
Oh, for this issue?
Huh?
For this issue?
No. Any issue that was done.
This is amazing. I love it. That's why I just stopped doing anything.
Yeah, that's what Jeff's got the right thing. Yeah, I'm working on tips.
Yeah. I told you. You get this or writing. You can decide. I probably enjoy this more than writing right now. So
should we review the Hoss or do something different with the Hoss because it's been out for plenty of time?
We review everything.
It's not going to stop Derek. Yeah. He'll run the review in 2 years. No problem.
We didn't do the review, so who cares about everybody else's shitty review?
Yeah.
Your first look was pretty thorough.
Just asking.
Except for the driving part. That's all I was missing.
Oh no, totally. I get that. But there's a million jabronis out there with videos running the Hoss. I mean, we could do a Project Hoss. We could do,
Project Hoss. We could do that. I'd be Jabroni 500 and then Hoss Project away.
Yeah. Good.
Projects take too long. Anyway, everybody subscribe to the magazine. I need to see 35,000 subscriptions today. Hey, we're 500 away from 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't, do this stupid click and like bullshit that everybody.
500 away from 20,000. That's pretty good. That might be more than I have on Triple X Main now.
20,000 subscribers.
It's pretty good.
Not that much, but whatever. It's people.
Aaron Badachka is getting nervous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he asked him how long I don't know how do some of these YouTube people do all this shit all day? They must have a team.
Oh, well, talk to him. He's got some stories for you.
All right. Well, you can contact
people
him.
think he's living the life, and he is. He's doing very well and having a lot of fun. But I mean, he tells me sometimes the time he puts into responding to comments, and it's got to be brutal.
He's doing RC gold mining videos. What the hell is going on?
No, but he's got like over 1 million subscribers. People are always trying to contact him and talk to him and all that crap. So it's
fine. I'm just saying, just the prep work alone is a lot.
I'm glad he's doing it. It's good.
If we only had that much prep into this show, we would probably.
Well, this is a highly prepped show.
What's that?
No, you. I didn't realize you had over 20,000 subscribers to your channel. Why don't you put some content up there, buddy?
Well, I've thought about that. Yeah, I've dabbled with the idea. I mean, I think I have close to 20 million views as well. Yeah, no, I have a good foundation.
Thank you to Jeff, Pete. Why haven't you?
Yeah, why won't you do work, Jeff? Because fucking Derek won't let me quit the show.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah, he didn't do work for 6 months, and now he's responsible for 55.
No, I am actually. I have a lot of projects in the work. I'm sure I'll get some pushback because my channel will be pivoted to an almost exclusively how-to series of videos. Now I'm going to be releasing a whole bunch of how-tos for the Triple X Main product line. Whereas historically, there are some how-tos up there, but most of them are my action videos from the Triple X Main days. So, but yeah, I have that foundation that good strong foundation still there, and I will be using it again. I'm sure it's like any other setup with Facebook or YouTube. My 20,000 subscribers probably won't get any notifications when I put up new videos anyways. I'm probably starting from scratch anyways.
I'm going to show you what, if anybody's going to be waiting for Jeff's content, this is what it's going to be looking like.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah. It's true, right?
Just the countdown of infinity.
Pete, I'll give you my login. You can start making videos.
Well, yeah.
I'll give you 10%.
Yeah. Send me some details first.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. If anybody just came and missed the show, you missed the show. So watch it, rerun, comment like we're here, and pretend whatever we said was to you.
Yeah,
I had to chug my water because I didn't finish my 2 drinks.
Yeah,
That's a faux pas. Sorry, guys. And we're over.
I only did one as well.